Like and subscribe right now, or you're going to have bad luck for the rest of the week.
The Greek way of life was very influential, and the life we're able to live right now has all been derived from their learnings and findings. Advanced technology and deep thinking have all been deeply rooted in Greek philosophy and their way of living. Despite that, there are also some weird facts relating back to Greek mythology. Here are some of the top 10 ones amongst them. Number 10. Hungry Erysichthon. I am sure we all heard the phrase, never piss off the gods. This mythology is one great reason behind that saying. Erysichthon was one extremely greedy and wealthy man. He was also known to not obey the gods and not give much heed to their words. He was determined to build a big dining hall to arrange big feasts, and in order to do so, he defied the gods and removed some sacred trees to build it. A very angry Demeter had enough of it and had finally taken the choice to punish him by giving him an appetite so big that Erysichthon ate everything he found in front of him. He started by eating off everything he had, and then he moved on to buying food with his money until he used up all of that money to buy the food. Once he finished his money, he even tried to give away his daughter to gain more food for it. The situation got so bad that once he had nothing left to eat, he started consuming his own flesh and eventually died because of that. Number 9. The nasty story of Pan. Pan was said to be one of the creepiest guys of that time. His body was half a goat and half a man, and some speculate that a nymph or Aphrodite gave birth to him. Many people even knew him for mating with his sheep and wanting to have physical relations with every woman he saw and found pretty. He laid his eyes on a nymph called Syrinx, who rejected him every single time, but Pan was very adamant. He would follow her around until eventually Syrinx was fed up and asked the gods of the river to turn her into a bunch of reeds so that Pan would not find her attractive anymore. Adamant Pan, on the other hand, did not give up and instead took pieces of the reeds and created a flute. It is now known as the Pan flute and is extremely weird. Number 8. Exile Ixion. Ixion was banished for a lot of crimes that he committed. However, Zeus took mercy on him and invited him to Olympus. We do not know what went through Zeus's head to bring a criminal as a guest to the great Olympus. Upon arriving, Ixion became infatuated with Hera and wanted to have sexual intercourse with her. Zeus then made a cloud to look like Hera to test Ixion. Ixion ended up making the cloud version of Hera pregnant, which ticked off Zeus. Zeus punished Ixion by turning him into a big wheel of fire. The cloud child was also born and called Centaurus. Centaurus was also known for having sexual intercourse with horses, and the mythical creature Centaur is also based on Centaurus and his story. Number 7. The Birth of Dionysus. The birth of Dionysus, the Greek god of wine, has to be one of the weirdest facts from Greek mythology. Zeus fell in love with a mortal princess whose name was Semele. Zeus decided to have sexual intercourse with her, which landed in Hera getting pregnant with his child. For obvious reasons, Zeus' wife Hera had a hard time accepting it. She became really vengeful and started telling lies about Zeus to Semele to make their relationship bitter. Semele at one point fell victim to the lies and started doubting Zeus. To prove his love for her, she asked to see Zeus in full. Seeing God Zeus as a whole was bound to kill any mortals, and Semele started burning up in flames. Zeus took their baby from Semele's womb and kept it between his thighs to save the baby. The baby was none other than the great Dionysus. Number 6. Kyrgys' heavy mistake. On number 6, we are continuing with the theme of never pissing off a god. This story dates back to Kyrgys, who for some reason got aggressive and pounced and hurt one of our dearest Greek gods of wine, Dionysus. Furious, the gods ended up punishing him for his mistakes. They bestowed him with madness, and in the heat of the moment, his delusional brain noticed his son. He thought his son was a piece of vine, and he took an axe and hit his son with it to get rid of the vine. He then went ahead and killed the entirety of his family. Some even say that after that he was so consumed by his madness that he chopped off his own legs too. After his death, he was not respected either and was just buried in a rock. Number 5. Birth of Athena. For number 5, we have a different theme. This theme continues with the weird births of gods and goddesses in Greek mythology. This story starts with one of Zeus's million crushes. This time, it was a lady who was called Metis. The lady believed that a prophecy existed that supposedly said that her son would take over Zeus's throne. Zeus ended up believing her and swallowed her while she was pregnant. Soon after, Zeus started having splitting migraines and smart guy Hermes suggested cracking Zeus's skull open to help with his migraines. When this was done, instead of the headaches disappearing, a female warrior came out of Zeus's skull. This was Athena, and ironically, she is known as the goddess of knowledge and intellect. Number 4. Heras Virginity. These days, whenever we are stressed, we would look forward to taking a day off for ourselves. Take a day to just chill and take care of our bodies, and sometimes even go to a spa. Hera was no different, as every single year she would take a day off to relax as well. She would travel to the spring of Katanos, and she would take a lovely warm bath to relax her nerve. However, unlike us regular folks, during this relaxing bath she would also take the time to restore her virginity with magic. This inherently meant that Hera would always be a virgin, despite how many people she had physical relations with, and this involved her husband Zeus as well. Many mortals actually followed suit and gave her statue a bath before big events that held a lot of significance. Number 3. Athena's Punishment. Alongside being the great goddess of wisdom and intellect, Athena was also known to be the best weaver to exist during those times. However, there was a woman whose name was Arachne who was just as good at weaving, if not better. She was amazing at it, and she was even heard saying that her weaving techniques were better than goddesses Athena's. This claim was heard by none other than Athena, and she warned the girl to not talk about her like that. Arachne did not listen, and Athena impulsively challenged her to a weaving contest. However, Arachne did not come to play, and her weaving was exquisite, and even better than Athena's. Athena got so jealous of it that she decided to punish Arachne and make her feel guilty. The girl ended up having a sense of overwhelming guilt that the burden of the guilt forced her to take her own life. Goddess Athena then turned the dead girl into a spider so that she could continue on with the weaving. Number 2. Sirons Bad Habits. Unlike what it may seem like, gods were not the only people up to some weird things. There was also a nasty man who was called Siron. He was always up to stealing from people. His way of doing so was very cruel. He would call on innocent travelers walking by the streets for help. He would ask them to help clean his feet by helping him wash them. Most travelers did not find it harmful and agreed to help him. When they would lean forward to help him, Siron would give a hard kick to their face and make them fall off from the giant cliff. If the fall was not big enough to murder the travelers, there were also huge tortoises present at the time of the cliff that would eat up the travelers. When he killed too many people, Theseus thought enough was enough and took matters into his own hands. He searched for Siron, and when he found him, he made sure Siron met the same fate as those unfortunate people he preyed on. Theseus threw Siron off from the same cliff to his death. Number 1. Apollo's Transformation. On number 1, we surely have a weird story relating to a god. However, for once it is not about a god being mean. Apollo, the god of divine distance, lived one sad life as he grew up on a tiny island from where he was not allowed to set foot out. However, he had enough one day, and he decided to escape by turning himself into a dolphin. Turning himself into a dolphin also meant that he started creating bad storms in the ocean. There was a ship that caught his eyes that needed help, and he leaped up and helped guide the ship back onto a safer shore, all while he was still in the form of a dolphin. After Apollo discovered this way of escaping, he also named the city after his way of escaping. The city was named Delphi. And that is all for today's video. Thank you all for watching. Since you watched this far, why not click on the 2 videos on your screen? See you there!